Hey everyone, and welcome back. One of the coaches at Unga Academy here, and today, as we're at the end of the year, we're going to be taking a stock of the best strategies of 2022 and our portfolio, showing the results and explaining how they work. But as always, before we start, I invite you to please leave us a like, subscribe to our channel, and go and click on the notification bell so that you can stay up to date on all our new content, certainly in the upcoming year. Hi, we are the Unga Academy, and we teach traders how to make money in the markets. Our founder, Andrea Unga, had been struggling with trading for years until he developed his automated trading method, which he used to become the only 4-time world trading champion. Subscribe to our channel for free tips and tricks. All right, so let's start with the Nasdaq, a market that has been performing well this year. And the first strategy opens new trades when false breakouts occur at the highs or lows of the previous day. Now, since it's clearly a reversal strategy, it will enter short upon the occurrence of a false breakout at the previous day's high. Instead, it will enter long at the previous day's low. And here are the annual results. Here we've basically uploaded data from the end of 2021, but now we're interested in seeing 2022. And you can see that the strategy has produced over $30,000. Now, these results that we're going to be seeing together today already consider slippage and commissions. And what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that we've taken into account the actual cost of each trade, or what would be the real cost to trade on these markets. And so the results are as close to reality as possible. The number of trades was this, so 77 trades with an average trade of almost $400 net, which really says it all. Before taxes, of course, because you pay taxes on financial returns. All right, let's look at the second strategy. It's a trend-following strategy, but this time multi-day. So it's different from the previous strategy, which closed its positions at the end of the session. This is a strategy that tries to catch the trend. So let's look at the results of this other strategy, which it could almost be described as the opposite of the previous strategy. Now, the average trade in this case is lower than the intraday strategy, and this is quite a strange feature that we could say. However, the results, they're very good. In 2022, brought in over $16,000. In this case, the equity line is uglier than the previous one that we didn't see. So let's go and have a look at it. Here it is. The equity line really performed much better instead. All right, so let's move on to the third and final strategy that I want to show you for the Nasdaq market. This is a strategy designed on a 15-minute time frame. It could also be called a trend-following strategy because it starts from the opening of the day and identifies levels above or below the opening of the day to place the orders. These levels are calculated with the help of the ATR, which is an indicator used to calculate market volatility. So, if there is a downward extension or an upward extension, as there was in this case here, for example, the strategy will try to enter the market and intercept and follow the trend. This is also an intraday strategy that will close its positions at the end of the day. All right, let's go and take a look at the results. In this case, we may have perhaps one of the most beautiful equities that we will see today. So it is a strategy that has performed really well. And in general, a lot of trend-following strategies in the Nasdaq market are performing very well. In 2022, we've had gains of over $24,000. And that's with an average trade of $311. All right, moving on to the second market, let's go and take a look at the DAX. This is also an equity index, but of course it's a European market. And today I'm going to show you two strategies, a mean reverting strategy and a trend following strategy. So let's start with the mean reverting. Again, we'll have a false breakout at the levels of, at the low of the previous day to go long, or at the high of the previous, say, to go short. So pretty much like the first reversal strategy we saw for the Nasdaq. It's the same logic, but in this case, the exits on the long side are dependent on whether the strategy is profitable or not. So if it is in profit, we'll close our trades at the end of the day. While on the other hand, if we're in a slight loss, not like this case where we would have hit a stop loss, But like in this case here, for example, zoom in. Yeah, you can see that at the end of the day, the strategy checked on the open profit. Now, if it was less than 0, so the strategy was at a loss at that point, and in these cases, the strategy keeps the long trade open. And in this case, it actually did well because there was a bullish trend the next day. So let's take a look at the results. Now, the DAX is clearly a heavier market with a large notional contract than the Nasdaq. And so in this case, we're definitely going to be seeing bigger numbers. And yeah, we're already seeing it. In 2022, an intraday strategy managed to make over $42,000. Again, the results are net of commission fees and slippage. Now let's look at the equity line. Yeah, definitely more irregular. Now we see a little bit more up and down at the beginning of the year. However, then we could say in the last 6 months of the year, from July until now, the strategy has strung together a nice series of trades that have resulted in finishing the year on a high note, so to speak, with the exception of the last drawdown, which you can give it credit for. All right, let's look at the next strategy that uses Bollinger Bands and is based on a trend following logic. You know, if the price crosses the upper band, we'll buy. On the other hand, if the price crosses the lower band to the downside, we'll sell. Now, this is a strategy that has many years of out of sample, as well as all that we have seen before. And again, you see, 2022 was a particularly fortunate year for it. We're seeing profits of over 82,000 euros in this case, because we're in the European market with a really fabulous average trade of 1,160 euros. So the strategy has performed, very well. But let's move on to the commodities market. It has been a particularly lucky year for crude oil. So let's go and take a look at this strategy. It's all about entering the trend at the crossing of the moving averages. We'll obviously have a slower average and a fast average that will trigger long trades when it crosses up, while it will trigger short trades when it crosses down. This is a strategy that made a good profit of $27,000 in 2022 with an average of $283. A pretty high number of trades. Yeah, there you see it. 97 trades. The equity line of the system was really very good. But then again, this is a trend-following strategy. And in years like this, you see how much the market has trended in the first part of the year, only to drop a little bit in the second part of the year. But we see that there were definitely a lot of months where the market was trending, and certainly a lot of volatility. And this definitely helped the strategy. Then we'll also see another strategy developed again on crude oil on a 15-minute time frame. In this case, it's an intraday strategy where the positions are closed at the end of the session. This is also a simple trend-following strategy because it enters long when the previous day's high is crossed, and enters short when the previous day's low is crossed. This is a strategy that has also confirmed the strong trend in crude oil and was able to intercept all the different moments of it as well. We see that in 2022, the intraday strategy earned slightly less than the multi-day strategy, $20,000 with an average trade of over 200. And we can be quite happy with that as well. All right, let's look at the last strategy for crude oil. Again, this is also a strategy that enters on a breakout, so it's a trend-following strategy. In this case, we'll enter at the highs or lows of the session, which are calculated between midnight and 9:30 p.m., and as previously mentioned, this is a trend-following strategy. And you can see that it really works much more. And that's because the high and the low of the current session are levels that are more easily reached by the market. However, this did not affect the average trade, which remained really very high at $315. Also, the annual profit for the year is over $47,000, so indeed a very good result. The equity line has also been very good, although with let's say, some abrupt moments. But let's say the price you pay for volatility in the markets and for being maybe able to earn more on a trade is just that. the fact that it can't always go well anyway. All right, let's finally take a look at the last market, the RBOB, which belongs to the same category, energetics, so like crude oil, for example. And we see the RBOB gasoline, so the product that replicates the performance of gasoline. And here we see a bias type strategy that also has a kind of a filter to confirm the current trend. This strategy will enter long on Friday if the high of the last bar, so the last 15 minutes, is crossed. In this case, we are using this time frame. On the other hand, the short side will be triggered on Monday and will enter when the low of the last 3 bars has been crossed. This is a really simple strategy. It makes 2 trades per week, 1 long trade and 1 short trade, 1 on Friday and 1 on Monday. And as you can see, the results are excellent, except for this somewhat bad period in the summer months. Now, the summer months are usually the time when the volumes are the lowest, and usually you also tend to have more slippage because the volumes are very low and there are no counterparts. RBOB gasoline is a very heavy market that has a low ticker because a tick is only worth $4.20. But it has a very high volatility, and during the overnight hours it isn't very liquid. So just be careful when trading this instrument. But anyway, we see that even this strategy that makes almost 100 trades, because we know that we make 2 trades per week for 50 weeks, that there are in a year, here we have more or less 100 trades. A few trades were missed, but I mean, here it is. It really is a confirmation that the breakout is very small. The average trade reaches almost $600, and the net profit even exceeds $58,000. And at this point, I'd like to take the opportunity to wish you a happy 2023. And as always, before we go, I invite you to please go and take a look at the link in the description of this video. From there, you can watch a free presentation by Andrea Unger, our founder, and the only 4-time world trading champion. From there, you can also get our best-selling book, The Unger Method, by just covering the shipping costs, or even book a free call with a member of our team. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like. Remember to subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell so that you can stay updated. With that, Happy New Year to all of you, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye for now.